Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, a fistful of sandfire, sea, lavender, see you next year.
Hello and welcome to the Deepdale Podcast, April 2023. Thanks for listening. I'm Jason, and this month I'll be chatting with Liam from Ebb Tide, the Norwich-based band who are performing this month's live music at Deepdale, playing a gig on the 29th of April in our brick barn. They've kindly allowed us to include a sample track too. And we have a selection of conversations at the Deepdale Hygge, which took place at the end of March. In case you don't know about Deepdale Hygge, it's our celebration of the North Norfolk Coast, with everything from barn dancing to cycling, wildlife watching to yarn bombing, lovely food and live music. Hope you enjoy the listen, and please do listen back to some of our back catalogue, which you can find on any good podcast directory or app. Just search Deepdale Podcast. To open this podcast, please enjoy some of the Dawn Chorus at Deepdale. This is Deepdale Podcast. I am chatting to Liam from Ebb Tide, who are playing a bank holiday gig in the Brick Barn this coming bank holiday, so Saturday the 29th of April. You'll have probably heard of them before. They played at Deepdale in various different guises, and yeah, it's just lovely to be able to chat to one of the band and find out a little bit more about the band and how that's come about and their history. So, hi Liam, thank you so much for joining me on Deepdale Podcast.
Hi Jason, thanks for having me. It's great to be here, and very much looking forward to the gig at Deepdale soon.
Fantastic. And so I've got you down as piano, but I think you said to me it's sort of probably more keyboards particularly when you're playing with the band. Do you have a kind of like a nice big piano at home that you think, or is it all sort of keyboards and you just adjust accordingly to what the type of music you're playing?
Yeah, I'm a keyboard player primarily, so I adjust to whatever music I might be playing at the time. In Ebb Tide, it is largely piano, so that's why I think we wrote that. Piano is a big part of the sound, but I do like to mix it up with electric piano and strings and pads and other things as well. At home, I don't have an acoustic piano. I don't think the guy who lives next door would be too happy with one of those next door. So I've got my trusty Nord, so I've got that, and since I bought that keyboard, that's kind of been a big inspiration to me. I kind of became a better player when I got that, so that's what I use at home. I've got a couple of other synthesizers, things like that, which I play around with as well. So
fab. And I think you've been in the band for a while, or in various guises for a while. Kind of how did Ebb Tide come about, and sort of how did that sort of happen?
Well, I can trace back the beginnings of myself joining in the band to about 2010. There was the band Crumbs for Comfort, as you alluded to earlier, which was kind of the band which Ebb Tide became. But Crumbs for Comfort was initially Ben and Alex, and they recruited a few musicians around the time of 2010, myself on keyboard and a few others. And I've stuck with Ben within the band, and a few other players have come and gone in over the years. But yeah, it was Ben and myself. Then Johnny joined on a more permanent basis on the bass guitar, and Meg joined as a vocalist as well. And then it was around 2016, something like that. Matt Wright joined the band, and we started to kind of play mainly Matt songs in the set, and then we changed the name to Ebb Tide, and it was kind of the band kind of evolved at that stage. We started to focus more on Matt's songs, and it was a fresher approach to things, really.
And when do you write as well as play, or have you, is that not something that you sort of find comes naturally to you?
Me personally, I do write my own personal music. I guess it's more instrumental based. I don't write lyrics myself, but I do write a lot of instrumental music. Within the band, it's more the singers who bring the songs to the table. So as I mentioned, Matt brings the majority of the songs. Meg has brought some terrific songs to the band, and Meg and Ben have. But in terms of writing for Ebb Tide, I mainly just provide instrumentation, really, and it's more the others who bring the songs to the table, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by the sort of the way it works in bands, and every band seems to be different, and then you get solo artists who just, clearly do their own stuff, and it's just, it's fascinating the kind of the way it works, really. So and it has 2023 started well. Have you had a lot of gigs this year?
It's been a very interesting year so far. We've started to shoot a couple of music videos here and there for various tracks, old and new. So we're releasing those gradually on YouTube. Also, in terms of gigs, we've played at the King's Arms in Norwich, which is a favourite venue of ours. We often play there throughout the year, and at New Year's you can often see us there as well. Also, we did a James Bond themed gig earlier this year, which was really cool. It was a friend's 60th birthday, and it was kind of frocks and tuxedos kind of affair. Lots of different bits and bobs of entertainment, including Ebb Tide, and it was, we all kind of got suited and booted, and it was something very different. A great venue as well, the Sainsbury's Centre at the UEA. So it was a really memorable night, that one. Really good.
That's a great venue. Yeah, we had our 10th wedding anniversary there and had a barn dance and stuff. It was great fun. A beautiful venue. So it's fantastic. Really and good. You'll be very pleased to know that the Bond theme continues. We were a set for Die Another Day, the Bond film, at Deepdale Farm. So our farm became rice paddies, and the supercars fell out of the back of the plane and landed in our field, and then Jinx and Bond fly past in a attack helicopter sort of thing. So all very bizarre, and so you can pretend it's an extension of your Bond evening.
Yeah, well, that's strange, because you normally associate Deepdale with rest and relaxation, and having a bit of a holiday, not the scene of a kind of an action film.
Yeah, it was very strange, particularly when they said, "Oh, right, yes, we're going to make your farm look like it's South Korea." Oh, okay, that's not what we were expecting. There you go. How were you affected by all the sort of lockdowns and stuff? Were you able, as a band, to kind of make use of that time, or was it just incredibly frustrating? Because I think it's been really interesting talking to other artists about kind of, some have found it a brilliantly productive period, and others just found that they just dried up, basically.
Well, it was a bit of a strange one. We just finished our album. The title of the album is Future's Your Own, and we'd just finished it, and we'd had some CDs burnt, and it was on the various platforms, but we didn't get to do a release gig, which I think was the disappointment for the band, really. We wanted to kind of release the album into the world with a gig and invite everyone, but that never happened, and that was the disappointment. The album's still there to listen to. It's a fantastic album, which I often still revisit, and we play many of the songs on there still as well. And
I guess you'll have albums with you for people to buy on
absolutely
on Saturday the 29th of April.
We'll bring some of those along on the 29th of April. So if you're interested in getting a nice physical copy, I know I personally love them, so physical copies.
There's something much more enjoyable about a physical copy, and we do remind people when they come to our gigs that they're those magic CDs put fuel in tanks of vehicles for bands to travel from one gig to another, so it's very important.
But going back to that time, personally, I found it was a great source of support and kind of friendship and camaraderie when everyone was kind of isolated in these ways. We had a group that we would chat every day and talk about music and talk about what's going on and stuff. So it was great to have Ebb Tide as a support group, really, for that really quite traumatic time. In terms of the music, we did kind of struggle to get going and battling technology and trying to make things work. We had a few experiments here and there, but I think certainly people used it as an opportunity to write songs on their own. Yeah. I know I was kind of forced into just starting up my own recording at home. I was like, right, I've got to take the plunge. I've got to just get what I need and get set up. So it really encouraged me to set up a laptop at home and start recording, start sketching out ideas, because there was nothing else to do. So that was one positive that came out of that time, was it really encouraged me to kind of get back into the home recording kind of as a hobby, but also as a way to pass all the time.
And you, sorry, frog in my throat. Are you a full-time musician? Are you? Is that what you do full-time? Are any of the other band full-time musicians, or are you? Do you all have other careers that sort of fit round the music?
Yeah, I think most of us have other careers that fit around the music. I'm in the wine business. Been in wine for 10 years, and we do various different jobs. So Ebb Tide is more of as soon as it hits 5 o'clock, you then switch your brain into music mode each day and make your way to rehearsal or whatever you might be doing. So yeah, it's kind of a double life that I lead as such, and many of the people in the band are in the same boat. So
yeah, excellent. And okay, so if you could choose any stage anywhere in the world, where would it be that you'd like to perform?
Very interesting question. I think I would probably go for the answer which many other people would go for, and probably say the Pyramid stage at Glastonbury on the Saturday night headlining spot or something like that.
That'd be quite cool. You'd have to have a very good body of work, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have to have 3 hours of work at least. To pick from.
But I can imagine that must be pretty much the pinnacle for almost any band.
I think so, yeah, because it's kind of got a bit of a stature attached to it, hasn't it? It's a bit of a grand occasion, the headliner at Glastonbury. I mean, if you look at, I think it was last year, Paul McCartney's set, which, I'm a big fan of Paul McCartney, and I thought that was absolutely terrific. He played for 3 hours, even though he's kind of 80 years old. But it's kind of, when you get to that stage in your career, you're well respected, you're so well established, you're part of the folklore of this country's music, more often than not. So
yeah. Well, we are really, really looking forward to you guys playing with us on Saturday, the 29th of April. It will be a great gig. If anybody's staying with us, it's 10 quid to join us for the gig. And if you're not staying with us and you'd like to come along, you're very welcome. It's £12. And you can jump to deepdalemusic.co.uk for any information about the gig and how to get tickets. So that's deepdalemusic.co.uk. That website will also show you kind of how to book accommodation if you think you'd like to stay. And yeah, we really hope you'll join us. And Liam, we really look forward to meeting you and your keyboards on the 29th of April.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, really looking forward to the gig. It feels like, summer's back. We've got some fantastic new material that we want to show people, some new covers that you wouldn't have heard us play as well. So we've got an awesome set that we're preparing at the moment, and yeah, really looking forward to playing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, Liam, and we'll see you soon.
Very welcome, Jason. Thanks so much.
Always kept me waiting. The underlying 'cause he's waiting to teach you, yeah.
That was False Pretences by Ebb Tide. Thanks to them for letting us play a little track, and thanks for Liam for joining me on the podcast. Now for some chat from the Deepdale Hygge. Enjoy. So I am sitting in the courtyard. It is Deepdale Hygge 2023, and our kind of first ever festival that we've held at Deepdale, and we haven't run this for 4 years. This is our happy place. I've got sitting next to Rachel and Sue, who are yarn bombing, basically. It may not mean anything to you, but it is basically playing with wool and doing some really fun things. And you can hear Christian Smith in the background, encouraging the crowd to sing along to one of his last songs. And the bar is open, the Moongazer Bar, and it is just lovely. And where have you come from, Sue?
I've come from Norwich.
So you haven't travelled a million miles to be with us?
It's been very lovely and easy to get here. What a lovely, relaxing place it is. Loving the weekend so far. Doing lots of great things. Yarn bombing, had a brilliant time last night, dancing at the barn dance. I've had a beautiful poem written for me today, which made me cry. The beer is good. The walk was amazing today. Great weekend so far.
That's great. And have you been to our Hygge before?
No, I haven't, no. First time.
And to Deepdale? Been before?
Yeah, been to Deepdale. Love it here. Very friendly place. Amazing staff. Love it.
Well, welcome to your first Hygge. And I'm gonna ask Rachel, who's going to try and hide from the microphone because she's not very keen. But Rachel is our resident yarn bomber, and she brings a bag of amazing coloured wool, and then somehow gets grown adults to play with it who say, oh no, not interested at all, and then 10 minutes later they're absolutely addicted.
Hello.
We got her to speak. So Rachel, is this just a hobby that's become something bigger, or is it a passion that you've had all the time?
Well, so I've always loved crafting from tiny, but I started yarn bombing maybe 10 years ago. A friend got me involved and we covered a few trees in Norwich in pom-poms. And then in lockdown I went around the city putting little bits and pieces everywhere, but I've been coming to the festival for quite a few years and just sitting around, started off just sitting around, just brought it to you really, didn't I, to start with? I just decided I was going to do it. And then you've very kindly invited me back.
And it is lovely to have you here. And there's a tree. Oh no, someone! We almost got someone in a pink sweaty, but she's running away now very rapidly. We have a couple of pine trees at the entrance to one of the campsites, and it sort of becomes the place that all of these hang up. But the last lot, which were made in 2019, were looking a little past their best. No. And so Rachel has quietly removed those this morning, and we are now they are now creating more to go and start decorating. The decorations have begun, so we'll put photos on, and it does look amazing.
Pom-poms, bunting, flowers. I don't know why I'm showing the camera. And then we'll tie them around the tree later, and they will look jolly and woolly.
And they keep their colours. It's amazing. They keep their colours sort of until the lichen really kicks in. They keep their colours beautifully until the next Hygge. So it's wonderful. And there's photos, but she made us a wonderful Hygge banner and a Deepdale banner in previous years. So they have pride of place in the courtyard here. It's really lovely to have you back, and thank you for decorating our tree.
It's lovely to be back. Thank you very much for having me.
Hello to the world.
I am with our very own Simon, leader of the pack, as he was this morning, walking like Pied Piper down Barrow Common and over to Branadunum. Yeah, you had a good group.
We had a fabulous group.
How many did you have in the end?
There must have been between 15, 20 of them. Absolutely great fun. It's wonderful. Everyone was really game, and we had a great wander off up onto Barrow Common and then down. I don't know if everyone knows the route. You'll have to come and check it
Yeah, if you haven't done the route,
Via the website.
it's really lovely.
And there'll be some photographs. All of the team. So I took a couple of members of the team with us. They hadn't walked it either. So they were just taking photographs and listening in on the facts.
So what I'm now going to have to go and do is find some of the people from the walk and find out what facts, with inverted commas, you gave them, and did they know there was a yeti that lived on the marshes?
I told them all about the beasts of Deepdale. The flora and the fauna and the history. And yeah, it was fantastic, and we had an adventure.
So this was the first alien spotted in the UK, various other fascinating things like that, yeah?
People said it was a muntjac. I tried to tell them that is no muntjac.
In case you wonder, the Saturday morning of the Deepdale Hygge is basically all of our team taking people off in different directions around the beautiful, beautiful part of the coast that we live on. And Simon took them up and over Barrow Common and then down to Branadunum, which is the Roman fort site, and then back along the boardwalk from Brancaster, and it was really lovely. Really, really lovely. I took a bunch up running. We ran up to Barrow Common and then back down to the Jolly Sailors. We didn't stop for a pint, despite being tempted, but the cyclists did. The cyclists felt that might rain, so they should stop and have a beer.
Cyclists, yeah, a rule unto themselves.
What can you say?
Yeah.
Led by our esteemed leader Chris, of course.
Yeah, and Andy was there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a thing.
Yeah, lead each other astray.
We walked past two. We walked past two pubs, and looked at them. But it was fine because we'd had our own adventures.
And we have the Moongazer Ale Bar here, so
Exactly. Yeah. How was your run?
The run was lovely and really beautiful weather for it. It was just perfect, really, and we avoided all the rain, and it was just it was really lovely. So yeah, it was very nice to do, and it was slightly later than the normal park run that I do, so that was quite nice. An extra hour before I had to run was quite nice.
Good. Yeah. And did you win?
I'd like to say it wasn't a competition, but the people that came in before me probably say it was.
Oh,
yeah.
No. Okay.
So how's the Hygge going?
Really well, despite the weather. It's been a bit treacherous, but yeah, lots of happy faces and yeah, lots of interest and lots of positive feedback from all the walks and activities. So yeah, it seems to be going well.
You should see the cakes. Yeah, I'm walking past the nest on a regular basis during the Hygge, and it's getting quite depressing because I'm seeing some fairly... The rocky road looks like, and the honeycomb tiffin, oh my word, just glorious. Yes, maybe I'll be tempted, you never know. So my sister has now become completely obsessed with yarn bombing. So she was slightly difficult to persuade to sit down and start, and now, look at this. So what are you making?
A yarn ball, apparently. There's quite a few of them in there.
Pom-poms, you know where these are going? They're going in the tree over there. And they're going to look really pretty. But the last ones, because we haven't done this event for 3 or 4 years, the last ones weren't quite so pretty. So they've all been taken down, and these are going to be new replacements, new recruits for the tree. So it's going to be good. Are you enjoying your yarn bombing experience?
I'm here under duress, but yes.
I have to say, he doesn't look too much like he's under duress. I think he is quite enjoying it. I just get that feeling. It's not as duress as he might pretend. So where have you come from to come and do yarn bombing in a marquee in Norfolk?
From Norwich,
So a long way.
Long way, yeah. But it doesn't matter how far away from home you're away, which is the main thing,
Yeah, absolutely. And have you done yarn bombing before? Is this something you do regularly in the evenings?
I can't say that I have. The wife is a regular crocheter, and I often get involved in distangling the wool that she's managed to make a mess of. But yarn bombing as such, no.
Got you. And are you enjoying? Is this your first Hygge?
Yes. It's not our first trip here, but yes, it's the first one of these. Yeah.
And you enjoying? Did you do any activities this morning?
We did the wildlife walk and to try and see some birds in the howling wind. Didn't see many, but it was good and cold and bracing. We expect in spring in Norfolk, really.
Good fresh air.
Yeah, lovely.
Being forced. Yeah, that's good. Excellent. Now it's a very, very nice yellow yarn bomb you're creating there, so that's going to be great. Oh, yellow and red. Very good. Very good.
It's an experiment.
And I've got the lady with the pink thing. She can't run away this time because she's holding a load of wool.
You've tied me down. Slightly worrying.
Have you done this before? Have you yarn bombed before?
What do you think? Does it look like I've yarn bombed before?
I'm saying you may be less experienced than some people.
I think that's a very accurate observation. I can't even get the wool to work.
So how far have you come to do some yarn bombing?
Well, not terribly far, from Rockland St Mary, just outside Norwich, so fairly local.
Yes. Not too far to travel back and get your kit.
Well, yes.
So you can make your own yarn bombs and decorate.
I'm not sure that I'm certainly not going to. I'm certainly not going to be changing career. That's for sure. It's a pastime, perhaps, but definitely not a new career.
Excellent.
I'll leave that to the experts.
I'm sorry about the background noise, not the lovely music that Tim has put on the playlist, but the now torrential rain that's coming down on the marquee that we're standing in. Yeah, it is really quite grim, actually. But I'm here with
David.
And David, where have you come from to join us for the Hygge?
Norwich.
And this is your first Deepdale Hygge?
First Deepdale Hygge. I've come to Deepdale for 10 years on and off, but never done an event as such, just for camping, etc.
And are you enjoying your first experience, apart from the slightly temperamental weather we're having?
I don't know. I mean, yes, absolutely enjoying the experience. The weather makes it feel like you're going through something, we're going through a lot to enjoy this. But no, it's great. I went and did the Ceilidh yesterday, which I didn't expect to be dancing as much as I was, so obviously that's great. I enjoyed the music that I've heard so far and looking forward to what's to come.
And that accent is definitely north of the border. Whereabouts?
Okay, so the accent is confusing, actually. I'm from Leicester, but my accent is Scottish because my parents are Scottish.
Yeah, I was going to say the accent's definitely not Leicester. With Scottish heritage, it sounds sort of Edinburgh, but with probably the Leicester influence, it could be anywhere between Glasgow and Dundee and Edinburgh.
Oh gosh, I mean, so they are from Motherwell and Carluke, which is kind of south of Glasgow. So I think it sounds like Edinburgh because it's Scottish mixed with English. In Scotland, they think I'm English. In England, they think I'm Scottish.
Well, we're not very good at accents in England. We kind of just look at people going, that's not local. And how's the beer?
Oh, the beer's great. And there's lots of Moongazer beers that I haven't tried before, which is great. It is Moongazer, yeah. I wanted to make sure I got it right. So at the minute I'm on the lager that they do, the De Whopper,
yes.
Which is nice and sharp and crisp. I like the special that they did for the festival. That was really tasty. I've had some pintail as well. Enjoying it. Great selection.
Excellent. Well, we might send you a questionnaire afterwards and see which beer was your favourite, because you're testing them. It's good to get this feedback. I think it's very useful. It's great. Excellent. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Cheers. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So what's your favourite thing of the weekend so far?
We had a lovely walk this morning. Beautiful, yeah, with your organised walk, and it's really nice, wasn't it? It was nice to get up on, is it the Common or up the
Barrow
top?
Common.
And look down at the coast and everything. That was fantastic. Yeah. Parts of it we hadn't seen before.
So this is a question for you, all right? What did Simon tell you about Branadunum? Because I'm fascinated to know whether he listened to what I told him about it or whether he literally just made it up.
I can't remember.
It's a Roman encampment.
Oh yes, one of the biggest Roman encampments. I can't say that word. It was responsible for managing the port.
Yep. Excellent. This is
Wow.
good. I'm quite pleased because I've worked in tourism for a long time, and I used to work with a group of people who used to do tours in the Highlands, and no tour was ever told the same information as the previous tour, and they would just make stuff up. And depending on your nationality and how gullible you were, they would kind of come up with some fascinating stories. So there was quite a lot of Americans who went back to the US full of information that was distinctly not true. So I was just wondering whether Simon was from that playbook or whether he'd actually listened to when we took him round before. So yeah,
Okay, so
that's
did you
good.
get it right?
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct. Branadine was so there was Caister, which is just south of Norwich. So that was the administration centre, and this was the main kind of port for the Romans. So before the Sandspit kind of created what is now the golf club and Scolthead Island.
Oh yes, yeah.
Exactly. So what they did was the big boats would come into what was Brancaster Estate Harbour or Brancaster Harbour, and then they'd row all the goods into shore. And this was a huge encampment. When they did the time team thing there, they had no concept of how big it was going to be, and then they discovered it was significantly larger than they thought. Yeah. So it's just a shame there's only a tiny kind of board that tells you what's there.
There's not an awful lot to see, I have to be honest.
No, it's
like
quite a plain field. It's lovely when the wildflowers come out.
Basically a dog walk, and protect him against the angles.
Yes, exactly. These troublemakers. And
Yeah.
the Iceni with Boudica kind of attacking them regularly from the sides. So yeah, there you go. So that's good. So what, have you been to the Hygge before?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not twice. Okay, so you've done it. Yeah, we've only done. We've done 1, 2. No, this is the 4th.
Right.
Because we had a bit of a break due to COVID.
Yeah.
So,
We were virgins until we came here.
Were you?
Yes. Hooker virgins, that is, obviously.
Yes.
I love it. It's got such a different vibe to the festival in September, and it's just nice and relaxing. We love the barn dance too, actually. That was great fun. We met these two at the barn dance.
Yeah.
We do like the barn. We feel that's a kind of it's a level playing field. You can only as good as the worst person in your group, aren't you?
That's
So
what's good about it. It's such good fun. It really is.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you cock up, does it really? Because it's,
But some of them were really complicated. Some of the dances were really complicated.
we think there's a kind of drink a few and then you get better, and then it quickly changes and you're on a downward spiral rather than upward spiral. So I think confidence kicks in, and at which point it all goes pretty horribly wrong at that point. So yeah.
I was trying to replicate it this morning with my moves, and this was how the alcohol was working last night.
Just to explain to those listening on the podcast who won't have seen that, it would have fitted well in a 70s disco. So there we go. So who are you looking forward to seeing this evening? Which bands?
We don't really know. No, we don't know. We don't recognise any of the sounds, the names. So we're just going to go along and see what there is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So Moongazer it is until then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We had
Looking forward to
Fred's
music.
house at the festival. We thought they were brilliant, didn't we?
Yeah,
But
Fred's
we'd
house
forgotten
was
we'd heard both the previous Christian and Bertie before, and they're both absolutely amazing.
Yeah, because Bertie did some of her songs with her sister in the church last year at the festival. But because it's a kind of a full suite of songs, her and Chris were kind of, as Chris is known to do, got quite muso about it and felt that they needed the entire suite. So yes, hence the 2-part gig.
I love the stories with her music. It's just so interesting.
It's really interesting, actually. Catherine Priddy, who played 2 years ago,
Oh, yeah, I remember her.
she was just sort of beginning to go stratospheric, and she was saying she had some really funny stories about kind of being completely obsessed by Greek art and all sorts of other weird and wonderful things. But it was fascinating when you talked to her afterwards, and then other people who played, how they kind of have to learn that skill of not just writing the song and performing it, but actually communicating with the thing. And so it's quite interesting,
Doesn't it, I think?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's nice to see the acts that you bring here, that we can, not so much the hookah, but to the festivals, because you seem to pick the ones that are on their way through, and we've seen Kitty McFarlane and various others that have come
Eddie
here.
Gowers.
Yeah, Eddie Gowers got the CD. they come here and we go, wow. And if we get a chance to see them again here, well, it's wow again, but they seem to go to other heights, and we can understand that, but you seem to grab them and we can get them at, a nice cosy.
I think that Chris seems to have a way with persuading people. And actually what's quite nice now is that the agents, a lot of these artists are just sort of coming into having agents, but we're now getting agents coming to us and saying, oh right, now we've got these artists, you had one of our artists. Sometimes it's quite hard to persuade, like when we first started, even the bands from Norwich were like, oh my god, where the hell's that, that's miles away, and then they came and played, and then they told other artists, oh, you should go and play there, and it's become easier and easier to kind of find artists. And now that Chris has got recognised by the agents as supplying a good place to play, more artists are being put to us by the agents rather than us having to go to the agents. So it's quite interesting how that takes time to develop and grow, so.
We saw, after seeing Smith & Brewer underneath here, in the pouring rain a few years ago.
That really was wet.
It was wet.
Yeah.
We then knew they were supporting Fairport Convention.
Yeah.
So they're not a band that I know much about, but I know they're very, very experienced and well known in the market. So we booked to go and see them. And then obviously Smith & Brewer, the supporting band. Nice to see them, but they didn't last very long on stage. And then Fairport Convention came on, and we had to walk out because we just didn't enjoy it at all. Which is really bizarre.
It's funny, isn't it? What grabs you and what doesn't? Yeah,
we saw Morgan Way here and were blown away by them, and we then went to see them in London following, and they were just so good, and they've been climbing really well now, haven't they?
Yeah, they're one of our headliners this year at the festival, so they're going to be, they're back. Yeah, they're coming back. So it's been 2019, I think they played last. So yeah, they're a Norfolk band, so it's really exciting to get them back, and we really love them. So
they're brilliant. They're really good.
Yeah, we have seen them. Yeah.
No, they're definitely going to be worth seeing. They're going to be great, and a Leisure Society are going to be superb as well. They're headlining on Sunday night, and they're going to be absolutely awesome. So that's probably the one we've had the most comments about since we launched the first lineup announcement. So looking forward to that. I think there's going to be, Chris has got a lot of other very, very cool names to add to that list as well. So it's going to be good. Yeah.
We saw Katie Doherty. She was coming to the next village to us in a village hall, wasn't she? But she was absolutely.
She was in the church.
She absolutely loves coming here. Yeah. She just says how well she's treated. It's an amazing experience. She loves Deepdale.
We had a big chat with her because one of her songs was about the Wall's End Memorial. I don't remember that one. And we just love that. It makes me cry thinking about the song. And that doesn't normally affect me, things like that, but that particular song did. And we mentioned to her when I saw her on Facebook come up, she's in the next village hall, we booked the tickets and we had a lovely conversation with her, and she was so sweet, and she said they get treated like top people when they come here. They said wherever else they go, they get treated like, oh, get in there's your room, but they said this place is fantastic. Yeah.
Well, Chris is a great believer that if you've got to treat the artist right, because people are coming to see the artist, and the artist is basically doing us a favour. They're making the effort to come to Deepdale, play, and so it's only fair that if we're going to put these gigs on, we've got to say, right, well, we're going to pay them well and we're going to look after them. Otherwise, why would anybody want to come here? That you can understand a venue in a big city can get 1 million artists to play there. But if we want to get them to come and play in a barn on the North Norfolk Coast, it's not exactly next door, is it? But we were really chuffed because when we had the gig back in February, we had over 120 people in the barn, kind of at a gig in February, in effectively a half outside barn, for two bands from Norwich, and that was just wonderful, really wonderful. So a packed barn for that was really nice. So Chris looks after the bands like he looks after the team. So I think that says a lot, really, doesn't it?
They really appreciate it, though, don't they?
Really,
and
really do.
I can't remember the name of the girls that played at the end.
Wildwood Kins?
Yeah.
Oh,
they were saying about how amazing it was being here and how well they were, just treated them and stuff, which was lovely.
We saw them in Norwich at the Norwich Arts Centre, and Chris and Sheila said, you've got to come and see this band, they're amazing. went to see them, and I just was blown away by them. And then we were queuing up to get a CD, and I just said, "You wouldn't like to come and play at Deepdale, would you?" And Chris was like, "You can't just ask that." And I'm like, "Of course we bloody can." And they gave us their email. I said, "Yeah, just drop us an email." But it was like 3.5-4 years later that we finally got them here. But I'm so glad, because Meg's left now as well, the drummer. So very sad that she stepped away. But it was I really enjoyed having them here. Yes.
Yeah, from Watford. Yeah. I've seen them.
Fantastic music. Yeah. Really good. So we've got a few other bands that are on lists that we would like to get here, but
so can we relax a bit now, knowing that these festivals are going to continue after our little worry over the last year?
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Like we don't. The thing is, I don't think anybody who doesn't organise events knows how knackering it is to run an event like that, particularly when we were dealing with all the kind of ifs and buts when it came to COVID. And so I think it's amazing how much time it knocks out of you in terms of kind of energy. And so it's really important to be able to step back, take stock. You've put on something that people have really enjoyed, but you need a bit of space from it to maybe appreciate what you've done. And then and I think as Chris and I get older, it takes that much more out of you, particularly when we had like the 2021 one was really stressful because we had all the kind of, is it going to happen, all that sort of stuff and everything else. And of course we booked everything and planned everything for 2020 and then had to cancel it. So it was kind of one of those things. So I think and also the team are manic even in sort of September, October time. So it's better for us to wait and announce in sort of January February when we want to sort of, when we're a bit more in control and everything's calmer and we've got space and time in the office to go, right, now we can open the phone lines to get things in. So that's the logic of it really. And it's and I think to step back and just go, and I think he's probably booked bands for next year already, I think it was one of his red lines that when I said to him, "Would you want to come and run Deepdale for me?" He was pretty keen that music was going to be on the programme, and I said absolutely, and so it sort of developed from there really. So yeah.
We're going to America later on in the year, but I said, well, can only go to America, not in the time that Deepdale's on.
Well, that's a really nice thing to hear. That's great. That's very cool.
So Washington DC has to wait for a little while.
That seems only fair. Well, lovely to speak to you all. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And in case you were wondering, the lovely music in the background is Bertie and her Poppyland songs. So she's just finishing her Poppyland songbook, and then we're prepping for some poems from the Toast Poetry guys, which will be lovely. Yeah, so it'll be great. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Deepdale Podcast, and thank you to everyone who joined me for chats, particularly Liam from Ebb Tide. A reminder that Ebb Tide are joining us for a gig on Saturday the 29th of April, the bank holiday weekend, and tickets are still available. £10 if you're staying with us, £12 if you're staying elsewhere. You can find all the information on the Ebb Tide gig and other music events at Deepdale on our website, deepdalemusic.co.uk. And do subscribe to our podcast on any good podcast app or directory and have a look through the back catalogue of interviews. Keep well, and we look forward to seeing you on the beautiful North Norfolk Coast again soon.
Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, fistful of sandfire, sea, lavender, sea.